HBCUmix.com, Jason G, the Grounds for Records.
Dr. Dennis Kimbro, first year business seminar, Clark Atlanta University, 13th annual Take a Millionaire to Lunch.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, apologize for being late. Second, my name is Jason Jeter. I'm gonna stand behind the podium, hide a little bit. So I mean, I really I don't talk too often, so you guys may have to excuse me a little bit. But number one, thank you for having me here. First and foremost, I was definitely happy to know that I was invited out to speak to you guys. My name is Jason Jeter, like I said, originally from Brooklyn, New York, moved to Atlanta, I guess in like '99. My whole story is first, I graduated from high school, did an internship at Arista Records for a summer, and I was in the marketing department. Internship for a guy named Jeff Burrows, who was like the director of marketing. And at that time, that's when Bad Boy was real hot, that's when Rowdy Records was hot, that's when LaFace Records was on fire, and they were all with Arista Records. So I really kind of like got an opportunity to see what was going on like inside the record companies, Before that, I had always been just a fan of music, a fan of the art form, from watching the Crush Groove movies and growing up in New York and seeing artists, in your neighborhood and stuff. Of course, we all grew up, a part of hip hop, most of us, I'm assuming. So, I was always a fan, but once I did the internship, it was an opportunity to really go inside the building and to see the inner workings of the music business. I never wanted to be a rapper. I never really tried to make beats, anything like that. So for me, that was like just something that I was interested in. And once I got inside and I realized like, these dudes are really making money, and they're making money like comfortably, doing something that they love to do, just comfortable. They're making money with jeans on, and the reality was like a lot of the dudes were making more money than my parents were making at the time, But during those days, it was, I say still, even during these days, society tells you to go and go to school and do what you gotta do, which is definitely what I wanted to do. So I went to Hampton for about a year, and you go to school, the mic went out.
Uh-oh.
There you go. All right, cool. So how when you go to orientation and they tell you like, look next to you, everybody raise your hand, look next to you, somebody ain't gonna be in. Like, and it was funny because like I was there like, man, you're not gonna be here, so I was there laughing, but at the end of the day, it was me who wasn't there, but they can't take that.
There you are.
It must be a short in the mic. But, so I was the dude who wasn't there at the end of the day, for whatever reasons. And at the end of the day, I came to Atlanta and I said, all right, I'm gonna transfer to Georgia State. So I moved to Atlanta because I used to come down for the Freakniks. I used to see what was going down in Atlanta. So it was just real exciting, in the city. So I said, I'm gonna go to Atlanta. I had already had a little peek in the window of Atlanta from, like I said, Freakniks, but also from the business side of being an Arista and speaking to people every day that were working at LaFace and the labels that were stationed down here in Atlanta. So I came down to Atlanta, started going to school, and I was kind of off and on with it. So eventually I finally said, I'm gonna really give myself like a solid year, and because I felt like I was half-stepping in both situations. I was half-stepping at school, I was half-stepping at trying to, pursue my music dreams, So I said, I'm gonna give it a solid year. And I left, and I was already working in the studio, Patchwork Recordings, which is a real prominent studio in the music business down here. So I was working there, I went there, got a job, time I got to Atlanta, because it gave me the opportunity to meet, artists, producers, and executives. So I was working there at nighttime. During the daytime, I was like, upstairs they had a little independent label, so I learned how to work records at college radio. So doing all of that stuff, I was still kind of like going to school. And this was the time when Georgia State at least was on a quarter system. So I don't know if y'all familiar with the quarter system, but it's like 2 quarters basically make up 1 semester. So, you know, you get in and everything move real fast. Like, you miss something, you might not catch up. You know, so I would go a quarter, I wouldn't go a quarter.
You might want to leave it on the stand.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go.
You hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I would go a quarter, I wouldn't go a quarter. So I finally said, hey, I'm just going to set a goal for myself, and I'm going to give it a year. And I'm going to go hard for a year. And, you know, if the music thing works out, if I get some win this year, I'll continue. If not, I'm going to go ahead and really, you know, get serious about school. Because for me, honestly, I was always good. You know, I was always good at school. Didn't really have any problems other than just not really being focused, you know. So I started working at Patchwork. I kept going hard at Patchwork, and I ended up meeting Tip through a friend of mine, DJ Tunk, who's a producer, you know. We basically met him. I was 20, he was 17. We met each other, went to the studio maybe a week or 2 later. Did a demo, started working a demo, did a deal at LaFace Records. During the course of us making the album, L.A. Reid sold LaFace Records to Arista Records, and he went up and started running Arista Records. So just to fast forward everything on that note, you know, as L.A. Reid as an executive, once he went to Arista Records, you know, he had to definitely prove himself, you know, prove his worth. He was coming in the building, so, you know, naturally you're gonna put out the first acts that you put out are gonna be like your more so guaranteed artists, you know, the Ushers at the time, the TLCs at the time, the Outcasts at the time, like those were like the guys that were guaranteed to sell, you know, 1 million+ records. So he immediately put them out, and in the mix of that, he put T.I. out with the I'm Serious album. You know, and the album, you know, it really got put out, and first week it did like 12,000 records, you know, so that's really not a success, you know. So homeboy pretty much was like, yo, y'all can go back, y'all can do a new album, and we're not gonna put out another single, you know. So y'all just go back, do another album. But our knowledge of just knowing what was going on in Atlanta, in Florida, in Tennessee, in Alabama, Mississippi, you know, throughout the South. We were like, yo, we really have a lot of life left in this project, you know. So at the end of the day, we had differences regarding that, you know. So we asked, yo, why don't you just let us get off the label and we just keep working on our own, you know. And he really didn't want to do that. So we went out, we left, we went, pressed up our own mix CDs, our own T-shirts, and pretty much just really, you know, started going hard in the streets and doing shows throughout the whole South. And maybe a couple months later, we came back up to L.A. Reid, came back up to Arista. The album had jumped back on the Billboard charts. And we said, look, you know, we made an impact already. You can see, you know, we have radio spins in these markets, and we have album sales, you know, on the charts. Let us go ahead and do another single. We want to shoot a video for this record that we had at the time called Dope Boys. And it's still like, nah, you know, it's still not, you know, really enough. So go ahead and go back. So basically, we went through that process back and forth for a couple more months, and eventually got off the label and I'm getting released from the label. And at that point, we officially formed, you know, Grand Hustle, and this is like in 2001.